All right, let's do something a little challenging. Let's make pre-batched tiki cocktails. I'm Andy, and this is Mixing Up Tiki. Now, I don't know about you guys, but whenever it comes to family gatherings, I end up getting sucked into bartending a lot for these events. And honestly, I just don't feel like being behind the bar all night long, or I don't feel like bringing all of my spirits and liqueurs and syrups and gear with me when I travel halfway across the state for a holiday gathering. But at the same point, ready to drink cocktails, especially tiki cocktails, aren't really that good. So I kind of set out for the challenge of myself of seeing if I could make some ready to drink tiki cocktails. Now, when I went to go set out on this experiment, I did set a couple of rules for myself. The first rule was that I wanted these to be shelf stable-ish. I wanted to be able to make these ahead of time and then just basically stick them in the fridge and then grab and go. Now, this means that I couldn't use citrus, otherwise it would oxidize and they would taste terrible and I'd lose my reputation as a good bartender. They also had to be easy. I mean, I'm talking like pop open a bottle and pour over ice easy, no shaking, no stirring, no equipment or shaking tins required, but just basically ready to go tiki cocktails. And lastly, I wanted these to have the same punch as their regular recipes. I wanted to have the same flavor profile and the same ABV. The next thing I had to do was figure out which tiki cocktail I wanted to batch. And I looked at my top 5. Something that I thought would be approachable for other people and yet something I still love is the Jungle Bird, so I decided to go with that. Now, with my cocktail picked and my rules set for myself, I had to figure out how I was going to batch a Jungle Bird because, well, it contains 2 different types of citrus in both pineapple and lime juice. The other 2 rules that I set up for myself, making it easy to pour, okay, I would add pre-dilution, so that's just a math equation, and then the ABV, again, is just simple math. That wasn't the hard part. The hard part was trying to figure out how I was gonna sub out pineapple juice and lime juice in a cocktail that, well, uses a bunch of it. Come to find out, the pineapple juice was actually pretty easy. I just swapped out the simple syrup and pineapple juice inside of a Jungle Bird for pineapple gum syrup. Pineapple gum syrup has the same flavor profile as pineapple juice. It is sweetened. So basically I was taking the simple syrup and the pineapple juice that exists within a Jungle Bird and then combining them into one ingredient that was a little bit more shelf stable. The lime juice, on the other hand, was definitely more of a challenge. I had to figure out how I could create a lime substitute that wouldn't oxidize. Now, yes, I could have simply just done citric and malic acid solutions, but they would have not added that lime flavor and they might have thrown off my proportions of my Jungle Bird, which would have thrown my math on my ABV off. Now, of course, there is super juice, right? It has a long shelf life and it probably would have worked, but I wanted to challenge myself and see if I could push my chemistry ability a little bit more. Now, super juice does have lime juice added back into it, so therefore it will oxidize. But I did remember that recently the Educated Barfly did a video on Brian Tash's pseudo citrus, which does not have the lime juice added back in. So it wouldn't oxidize at all. So we were in a step in the right direction. The problem with pseudo citrus or super juice in general is that we get the oil from the lime peel blended into the solution. And the problem is that this lime oil does not emulsify within that solution. So essentially what you have is you have a cocktail that then ends up settling and you've got this nasty looking layer of oil that sits on top. So I needed to figure out a way that I could create a lime clone that was clear. But where was I gonna get my lime flavor from was the question. And that question was answered with essential oils. Essential oils are essentially condensed versions of the same flavor distilled out that we get from the lime peel. You see, when you make super juice and you're blending up the lime peel, what you're doing is releasing the essential oils within that lime peel to add that lime flavor. What I'm going to do is actually just use a concentrated version of that so that I have less of it inside of my solution and it should emulsify a lot better. So I'm calling this a clear lime clone. And in order to make a clear lime clone, you are going to need water, citric acid, malic acid, tartaric acid, potassium citrate, sugar, salt, and lime essential oil. All right, now if you ask, Andy, where can I find all these ingredients plus the equipment that I'm using, which by the way, I'm using a magnetic stir plate because, well, I wanted to be fancy today, but feel free to actually just put this in a blender and blend it up. It'll work perfectly fine too. But anyway, if you're looking for any of these ingredients today, you can find these on my Amazon storefront, which I will link in the description below. So to make our clear lime clone, in your mixing glass, add 500 milliliters of water. Now add 20 grams of citric acid, 10 grams of malic acid, half a gram of tartaric acid, and half a gram of potassium citrate. Now add 5 grams of sugar and 1 gram of salt. Then add 3 drops of lime essential oil. All right, now that we have this stirring, we're gonna let this stir for about 10 minutes. If you're using a blender, you can go really long, like less, like 2 minutes. But we are going to let this blend up for about 10 minutes to let everything emulsify, and then we'll be back with the magic of editing. All right, now that this is done blending, we can pour it into our bottle. So as you can see, this recipe makes 500 milliliters. This is a 450 milliliter bottle. I might be able to squeeze the rest in the head. Let's see. Either way, it's plenty. It's a super cost-effective way of making lime juice too, because it is very, very cheap to actually make it this way. But all right, now that we have our clear lime clone, let's make our batch jungle bird. To make our batch jungle bird, we are going to need a 40% dark Jamaican rum. I'm going with Karuba, Campari, pineapple gum syrup, and our clear lime clone. All right, so let's make our batch jungle bird. Now, the recipe and the specs that I'm giving you is enough to fit into this perfect little 450 milliliter chubby bottle from Crew that makes 3 150 milliliter cocktails. If your bottle that you choose to pre-batch this in is a different size, then what you need to do is you need to take these measurements, divide by 3. That gives you a single serve, and then you just need to multiply out by whatever fits into your bottle. So let's get to it. I'm going to put this in this little shaking tin because otherwise these things don't stand up very well. And it is something that I wish they did better. Other than that, I love these bottles. In your bottle, start with 15 drops of salt solution, which I forgot to mention in the intro. 45 milliliters or 1.5 ounces of our clear lime clone. 67.5 milliliters or 2.25 ounces of our pineapple gum syrup. 67.5 milliliters or 2.25 ounces of Campari. And 180 milliliters or 6 ounces of our Karuba or other 40% dark Jamaican rum. Now we need to account for dilution, so add 90 milliliters or 3 ounces of water. There you guys have it. There is your ready to drink jungle bird. The awesome thing too is you now have a weapon in your arsenal, the clear lime clone, that you can use to make other pre-batched cocktails. The cool thing there is these make awesome gifts. You know, if somebody that in your family likes cocktails, batch them up a couple cocktails, wrap them up in some nice wrapping paper, put a bow on it, and give it to them as a gift. You now have all the tools you need to give some awesome gifts to friends and family. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe, click that notification bell. The ways you can support the channel, go subscribe on Patreon, follow me on Instagram. Those really, really help out the channel. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys, and until next time, take it easy.